Let's see what time. 7:34. Call to order the Board of Selectmen meeting for Wednesday, May 2nd at the Council on Aging building. To start out, a few announcements. We've got board and committee openings. One position for the Open Space Committee. One position for the Town Hall Building Committee. One position for the Board of Health. The Historic District Commission, the Historical Commission has one position opening, and a position open as a Planning Board Associate. And just, I'll do one side note on the announcements there. For the Town Hall Building Committee, we had a handful of applicants from the last go-around, and I thought if we don't get any new ones by our next meeting, we'll just go over the ones that we've had in the past and pick somebody from there. And we'll reach out to those people, make sure they're still interested. Consent agenda. We've got to approve the Tour de Cure on May 20, 2018. Approve Melody Miles Road Race on May 26, 2018. Did I say that? May 26, 2018. Approve Coast to the Cure on September 8th, 2018. All good road races.
So moved.
Any discussion? I think it's the usual routes for all of them. So.
It is. We've already spoken to each of the contact people from each one of the races, and we've discussed whether you need a detail or not need a detail. We've discussed maps with them, where they're going to be coming across, where we have to position officers to stop traffic to get them across. So we've run each one of these every year for the last several years.
Great. All right, now moves on to the agenda.
Do we have to vote to approve that?
Oh yeah, sorry. Let's vote to approve those. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Unanimous.
Was it seconded?
You second.
Good work, Allison.
I moved it. We need a second.
I'll second. And then we're going to move on to Mr. Lynch's presentation to the board on the recruitment process for hiring town manager. I'd also like to add that we have Allison with us via phone, since she's, what's the word to say, incapacitated to come down to the COA for the meeting. So she's joining us as well. Bernie, we'll kick it off to you then.
Okay. Hello, Allison. Sorry you can't be here. So, but I've heard about the situation. So, I did provide a handout that's very similar to the timetable that I laid out in the proposal. So, what I thought I'd do, just by way of presentation, is walk you through that. Before I do that, though, let me thank you for choosing us to help you with this recruitment. We're anxious to get up here and get to work and get you the best possible person for the town manager position that you have open. And I think we can, it's a tough market right now, I'll tell you that. There's not a lot of people that are moving around, and there's sort of a generational change that's happening with aging managers leaving the profession, and not necessarily enough people coming up from behind to fill them with those positions. But we've been very successful in all of the communities we've worked in terms of getting someone on the first go-around of a search. And I think I believe you've checked some of our references, that people are pleased with the results that they have. We have a very hands-on type approach in working with the town. And it's a process that customized to what the town needs, and it seems to work. So we're anxious to make that happen here in Hamilton as well. As far as the process, the presentation I have is really to walk you through the process. It speaks very much on its own, but this first kickoff meeting is designed to sort of begin the process and open up the discussions as to the steps we want to follow, and any input you want to give us right now in terms of the issues that are facing the town and the attributes that we should be looking for as we go off and search for a town manager. And I should point out that, as the proposal says, you can just put an ad in the paper and you might get some responses, but particularly given the market and people's reluctance to necessarily move, because these are all very public positions, it's really crucial to have an active recruiting process where we actually call people up. We know people that are out there looking. We run across people that maybe they're not perfect for fits for where they are now, or they're looking to advance their careers. And so we know those people that are looking to move and where they might be able to work out here in Hamilton. So that's tonight's objective, is really to begin that discussion with you. And we can have some further one-on-one discussions, if you like, by phone, or we're hoping to set up a time for the chief to come up and meet with all the department heads, or a good number of the department heads, and have get some community input, which is another part of our process that's somewhat unique. We try to work with the towns to get some type of community input, if that's desired, and part of what people want in the process. So we could set aside some time then to meet with individual selectmen to get their thoughts on what we should be looking for. What we do with all of that information, and I can't recall whether we actually sent you a copy of a profile or not. Did we include that in the?
Did not.
Okay. What we do with that information we see from the department heads, from the discussions we have with the board, the community input, and the information that we can just gather that's out there, is develop a position profile, community profile, that speaks to what the town of Hamilton is all about, what the form of government looks like, what are the challenges and opportunities that are out there for the town that we should highlight. If I'm not saying this is the case here because I really don't know yet, but if there are issues that are particularly related to finance, well, let's get someone who knows finance. If it's an issue related to open space and planning issues, let's get someone that has some background in that area. If it's economic development, let's do that. Let's get where, let's let people know what the issues are so we get a proper fit. Talk to them about the attributes of ideal candidate. The profile speaks to that. Generally, people have the same ideas as to what they want, but there's always some nuances to the type of person that a board of selectmen wants as the manager for the town. And then just some basic information about how to apply for the position. So it's a 2, 3, 4-page document that we then send out, we make available, we put it out on our website, we put it on the town's website, and it gives candidates, and it does a number of links to your site and other information so that people can, one stop, find out what this position is all about. So that's what our goal is in gathering all that information. And we would come back to you, send that on to you, and work with you to make sure it's what you want, that we have it right. We don't say something about Hamilton that isn't correct, or what the board wants. So we would review that.
Is there an actual job description for town manager?
That's going to be one of the things I was going to ask you.
There is, when we had Randy Frank come in and do a study, when we did reclassification, if memory serves me right, although I'd never seen it, there was a job classification done for every employee and a job description done for every employee. That's easy enough for me to pull up.
Yeah.
Plus the special act.
Plus the special
Yeah, the
ed.
combination.
Which is very important to have in there, because a lot of people keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
And I see that in reading your proposal here, you said that you'll work with that job description. We can alter it if it's not quite what we're looking for, and you'll help us pinpoint all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest question. Hire quite a bit of people in this assignment, and the first thing you want to do is sort of make the list. No one's going to be perfect, but you make that list of everything you want, right?
Right.
Lessons learned about what we've learned from the last 8 years, what our vision is, and so who does that? How do we start that? How long does that process take to sort of figure that out? So it's not something we're going to do right now. It's something we sort of need input in.
Well, right. That's what we want to.
Yeah.
We want to help you get to that point, and obviously we want to do that in a way that's as quick as possible. We sort of up, it's that balance. We don't want to be so fast that we just get someone, and we don't find out what the town really wants. At the same time, you don't want to spend an extensive period of time doing that because you need to find a manager.
Right.
So it's that balance. That's our goal, is to work with you on creating that position profile that speaks to that, tweaking the job description as you need to, but as you point out, it's a special act, or the home rule child that the town has as a special act. That oftentimes will give you, certainly it tells you the responsibilities, the authorities, but what you are probably going to be looking for is different skill sets and different attributes and working style than we already have had in the past, perhaps. So we'll work with you and sort of fine tune that, because we don't want to. That's the worst of all worlds, right? Is we bring you in someone that says, this isn't what we want. We want someone. The question I often put to boards of selectmen is looking at managers. just very simply. There are some managers that are the people that stay in the office and move spreadsheets around. And then there are the managers that never go in the office and are always out. And of course, the answer everyone gives is, well, we want something in the middle. But given what a town is going through at a particular moment, or what they've seen, or what they want, there's some sort of weight that's given to one side or the other. And there are weights given to other issues that you might have identified. And so we can talk about that. And then we can do that, again, one-on-one, and then start to whittle that down to what you want exactly. So with all that work done, we would then, once we get that sign-off that says, yeah, that's it, that's what we want, then we would start the real active recruiting. We'll do some recruiting beforehand. I've already let people know that we're going to be working on this, because I have a number of people that stay in touch with me on a regular basis about positions. So they already know that this is out there and it will be coming. But we would advertise this. We advertise in the Massachusetts Municipal Association. Of course, we have to put it there, right? Here in Massachusetts. We generally advertise in the International City and County Management Association. Sort of extend out a little bit. There may be people from Massachusetts that are in other parts of the country that want to come back. There may be people that want to be relocated here with their spouse. So let's let them know that this job is available. So that's where it comes in handy to advertise nationally. And then we use networks, our own networks in terms of colleges, universities, other professional organizations that the colleges and universities are not looking for a recent college graduate, but we're looking for the Alumni Association. Generally have postings that they look to seek new positions. So we can use that. And then the active recruiting. And that's really where, you've already selected me, but I'll tell you, I have a very extensive network. I've been in the business here in Massachusetts for almost 40 years now, and still very actively involved in the Managers Association. Active with Suffolk University and their local government certificate program, where we see a number of people that are looking to move up in the profession, move into the manager positions. They're going through that program, so it gives me a network of people that I can talk to and find out who's out there.
So how many town manager positions are open right now in Massachusetts? Do you know that?
Boy, off the top of my, roughly, I would say right now there's probably about 10 to 12 right now.
And where do we fit in terms of the size? Are we middle, small, middle?
A little bit on the smaller side.
Okay.
Dartmouth is technically still available. Avon, we're doing. Nahant. So we told me Woodford might be opening up, or will be open. But we're doing Weston, Wayland, Bedford, Chesterfield, Boxborough, Oxford. Open, and there's a number out west. Stoughton's open. So it's a good number right now that's open. But that's been the case for the last several months, couple of years. We like to give 4 weeks to that process of advertising and recruiting. And then we want to sit down with the screening committee. I assume we probably want to talk about screening committees at some point tonight.
Yes.
But we would sit down with the screening committee, walk them through the resumes with our recommendations as to who they should interview. So, I generally put the candidates into 3 batches for the screening committee. Sometimes it shifts into 4, but qualified, not qualified, and people that are interested. People in the middle that may not meet all the qualifications. They may have something in their resumes, something in their background that people might find intriguing. It might be people that are coming out of the military, the private sector. There may be people coming out of state government that may not have the direct municipal experience, but maybe some of those skills are transferable. So we want to take a look at those as well. But generally, I think we're probably focusing primarily on those that have municipal experience. Then we'd go through a process. I sort of glean through the resumes during as they come in. I start batching them, and working with the screening committee, I can send them out as sort of batches, or I can wait till the end and walk in with all. I'm assuming we'll probably get 25 to 35 resumes for the generally where we've been tracking that type of number. So the exception to that is when we did Amherst, Massachusetts, somehow Indeed.com scooped it off of a website that we placed it on, and we ended up getting 80 resumes. Of course, most of the people, half the people thought they were applying for the town manager's job in Amherst, Ohio. So obviously we didn't, and they really didn't have municipal experience, so we were able to push those right off. But generally it's 25 to 35. Meet with the screening committee, select the people who are going to be interviewed, do that over a period of time, or, hopefully pretty close in time. I think it's important that the screening committee interview candidates, if not successive days, but pretty close to that, so that they don't forget who they interviewed. Generally, they interview, I would recommend they interview 6 to 9 candidates from what we put forward. Obviously, if there's more, we could try to go a little bit heavier, but what I found is generally you can find 6 to 9 qualified people that you can take a look at. And then from that, hopefully, narrow that down to 3 people that we could bring on to the board. We do a background checks before they get to the board, before their names are made public, so that gives us an opportunity to, we do a basic query check, call all their references, and again, use the network we have to identify any issues with any of the candidates based upon all the information we're able to gather.
Bernie, on the background checks, you do financial background checks as well, since they would be our overseers of the finances?
We have not. We can do that. We use a service out of Mansfield that can do that type of background check. Generally, they're not touching money, but we can include that as part of the process as well.
So the references, is this something that we are allowed to check, or does it have to go through?
We check those.
You check those? Okay. But what if we wanted to check, is that something that's typical or not?
It's somewhat unusual. And when I say unusual, I don't mean in an odd sort of way. Generally, it's we give you a report which gives you the comments that we receive. You don't necessarily tie it to the particular reference that's giving that information, so that there's some level of confidentiality for the people, so that they're more willing to speak openly about the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals. But I'm not going to say that you can't do that. Out of all the searches we've done, I think we only got one community where that's happened. And we can talk about that as we get much closer to that. Certainly, as we get, probably you wouldn't really get you would have the opportunity to do that after you interview, or maybe before you interview. You could even check around if you wanted to. But we don't bring the names in unless they're clean. If they're not clean, we want to skip to the next possible candidate rather than waste anyone's time. So we'll flag things. And we have information about candidates that.
I'm sure you're kind of working in the same pool of it, since you're placing a lot of other people, and there's a lot of open positions.
Right.
So I'm sure it's that same, like you said, 30 or 50 people applying for a lot of those open positions.
We see a lot of people repeat. Absolutely. And we know the backgrounds and the backstory of the people that apply. Right? Flag those for the screening committee, we'll flag those for the board. And then we'll work with you through the interview process. We don't leave until the contract is signed, and so we'll stay with you, work through the interviews, help you with developing questions. We can discuss some different assessment tools that can be used. One of the tools that we've used in a couple of communities now is you want to have someone that has the appropriate communication skills and decision-making skills. So one thing we've done is have them bring in, we don't do an assessment center, which I'm very familiar with. What we do is we'll say, okay, give us a what we have done is give us a project that you've worked on, a bylaw that you've put in place to help promote, or a project that you've brought forward, and make a presentation to the board on what that project is all about. And then tell us how successful you were. So give us the written materials, give us the presentation. How successful were you with the project or with the policy proposal you made? And then what did you learn as a result of this? What worked, what didn't work, and how would you do it differently? Gives us some sense, again, of the communication skills, but also gives us a sense of their thought process and decision-making abilities. And then you make a choice. You choose the candidate, and we can provide some assistance with you on your the contract negotiations. You use, we talked about this, you use James Harrington.
Yeah.
So,
Myers and Harrington.
and obviously they have experience in doing town manager contracts, but we can provide any technical assistance regarding what they're looking for in terms of compensation. That's the process. And so, the next, happy to answer any questions beyond what we've already talked about. But we're anxious to probably work with the chief to set up those department head meetings in the community forum. I don't think we've set a date for any of those things as of yet. And what would you like to start?
Allison, you still there with us?
Allison, you still there?
Yes.
I'm going to tee it up to you first, Allison, if you have any questions.
No, I have to say, Mr. Linda, first wonderful things about your firm. I like your whole approach to the whole thing and trying to develop a profile of what's especially necessary to find the best fit given our current needs of the town. So I read your proposal. I think it looks great, and I'm actually looking forward to working with your company.
Oh, great, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sean, if I could just say one thing. So, we discussed department heads individually, selectmen, I would assume individually.
I think we were talking about doing a roundtable.
Right, okay.
And then maybe I'll have some follow-up questions with some of the department heads. We're trying to keep this.
So we're trying to keep it all, we can set this up on the same day as what I'm trying to get at, if
Right.
that's what we're looking for, and then maybe roll that into a community forum during the evening hours.
Correct.
So maybe that's something we can tie in together and do that. That way we can make one trip up here, we can bang out all three in one day.
Right.
Okay. The other question I would have, and I don't mean to interrupt, Sean,
No,
but
go ahead.
what, and I know the board has it, what is the criteria for your screening committee members? What are we looking for? Your proposal says 7 to 9. What are we looking for the membership? What do we want them to be? What do we want it to look like? What's involvement with government, not involvement with government, and so forth?
Yeah. It's your decision of what it looks like. My recommendation
I say, what's your best practice?
My best practice is keep it a manageable size, particularly if we're trying to move this process along. Scheduling becomes very difficult if it's too large a group and too unwieldy. It becomes challenging to do a whole interview with a large group. So that's why we like, maybe I've done as small as 3, and I think we've done as large as 11.
That's maybe.
It's very big.
7 is the right.
7
I was
is
gonna say
a
7
nice
is the right number. 5 is 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7. We just finished Foxborough, it was 5. That worked well. 7 is fine. So I'd recommend 7. I like that, it's nice to have a balance of people on there that come from sort of different perspectives in town of Hamilton. But I certainly think it's worthwhile to have someone that really knows the town government. Oftentimes it's helpful to have someone that's a former selectman, perhaps. Someone that has sat in your seat, knows the types of issues that you might have. Someone that perhaps sometimes people want a member of the business community. really depends upon what some of the pressing issues are in town. So someone, there may be some advantage to having someone on from the finance committee, school committee. If one of the big issues in one of the communities we worked in was open space, so we had someone from conservation who was involved, or a similar type of organization. And then you want someone, you want just a general citizen of the public, maybe someone who's been active and a regular attendee at town meeting and has served on different committees and boards. That gives you some sense of who you might want to. It's not a. I think it's important that it's. Some people get nervous about time commitment. It's really, I might have a kickoff meeting. Maybe we can even work if you appoint the group. The next board meeting is after this, but if you appoint someone, you can have the screening committee blend in. We did Ipswich the same day as we did the community forum. We met as a group. We had meetings with department heads, had meetings with Selectmen, had meetings with the screening committee, and moved right into a community forum. Just as a kickoff meeting, really not a lot done other than introduce one another and walk them through the process. But we could probably squeeze that in another time too if we needed to. And then it's meeting to go over the resumes and choosing the people that are going to be interviewed. 2 or 3 days or nights to do the interviews, make a selection, and then be available if need be if there needs to be some change in that based upon the reference checks and background checks. So it's, it was 5-6 meetings total. And that's a process that works well. And you want people that are going to be interested in bringing you good candidates. I recommend that they don't rank the people, they just bring you 3 good candidates and say, these are the people. And leave it up to the screening committee pretty much to decide, or you can direct them. We want a choice of candidates. Give us people who have a completely different, 3 completely different people, or bring us the 3 best people. They may all be the same, but they're. So that's something they decide, or you decide for them, what you'd like to see.
The rest a little bit of my question, but as far as screening committee, and I'm back to kind of thinking general timeline here. So we've got basically introductory meeting tonight, talking about the process. And then the next step is kind of diving into the job description that Russell forwarded off to you and the special act, looking at both of those, and then I would assume kind of us as a board looking at those 2 things as well and seeing if it's exactly what we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
I would assume, right, Jen? And then working with you to either keep it as is or move forward and altering it a bit.
Right.
And then probably almost in tandem forming that steering committee so that once we get the job description, we send out the alert points bulletin for employees, and then we get that back and then it's off and running basically.
Yeah. So I guess the way that, just to play that back so that I fully understand, if we were to get the special act and there's nothing you can do about special act at this point, right?
Right.
But you get special act and you get us the job description. Then maybe we can do, just to make it,
Trying to think
timely.
Yeah.
We could perhaps do, if it works for you as board members, we could do individual telephone discussions where we can talk through something. Each of you can tell me, this is what I'm looking for. I'd like to change it this way.
Yeah.
And then bring something back to you and say, okay, this based upon what I've heard,
Right, you'll compile.
this is what it looks like,
Yeah.
and have you sign on to that.
So what I think Sean will do is I'll find the job description first, and I'll send it out to the board
Right.
as well as Bernie, and I'll send out the special act at the same time.
Good.
So you can all take a look at you can read and highlight and decide, is this really what we want for our town manager? Is this job description accurate to what we want?
Right.
Then I'll send it out to everyone.
Yeah.
I'll dig that up. I'll take care of that
And
tomorrow.
I, interject for one moment?
Yeah, go ahead, Allison.
I know it will have a good sense, but I don't think Randy, I think Michael omitted himself from the job description process.
So when Randy Frank did him, Allison, he was not one that had a job description done?
He omitted himself from the process. However, we did have done an assistant town manager position. But, so that's something to work from, but yeah, I'm 99.5% positive, because I talked to him about it, that he did not participate in that process.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, Allison, I do remember, I don't think there is one that Michael did, and I think it is for an assistant town manager.
I'll
So
send out
maybe
the
we could
assistant
take
town
that and,
What you can do is, and that's not that unusual, because usually it's just the special act
Right.
dictates. And, that lays out what the responsibilities are. It's probably better nowadays to have a job description, if for no other reason than ADA issues, so you can lay it all out what the requirements of the job are. It also, the special act may or may not speak to issues like educational requirements.
Right.
So you probably want to be able to put something like that in there, a number of other items. But what we can do too is I can, I'm sure I have examples of that. I can
right,
pull
yeah, that would be
together.
great.
And then, but I'm wondering whether we want to try to nail that down. I don't know if it hurts to have that taking place simultaneous to the other information gathering. We can probably do it in the same.
I would say you could do it
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that we're not, initially I was thinking, well, okay, maybe we want to do that and then we want to go to the others. But I think we could probably do it together. And then, what might result is we do our top priority here is recruiting. So we could do the special act and position profile.
Yeah,
And then while all that's taking place, I can work with you on a job description that we can then make available to the people as they're.
I think that's fair, yeah.
I mean, soon to think, the what they're gonna do is the job description, and then how they're gonna do it is sort of the personality we're looking for.
Exactly.
How they're gonna interact, how they're gonna communicate. So two different things we can do in parallel, I think, so.
Exactly. Yep. Okay.
Jeff, do you have
Yep.
Nope.
any other questions, Phil?
The only question I had was, it's a sales pitch from both sides, right? So they gotta make themselves look good, we gotta make ourselves look good too, so.
That's right.
So I wanna talk a little bit about how we're gonna make ourselves look. The job description, we don't wanna have a job description that's
We want
ridiculous.
the best possible candidates.
So how do we make, and once again, you say we're out of 10, remember people are jumping up or people are moving down.
Right.
So how do, so you're gonna help us strategize with how we make ourselves look appealing to the applicant pool.
Exactly. And that's.
We're nice guys,
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that immediately. That was already in my mind. No, that's something that, again, I like to think that we're pretty good at. In fact, I did a workshop at the MMA this year on this very issue of how you fill positions in difficult circumstances. And things may not seem that difficult. Anyway, for example, the town of Wellesley did a search right after their charter. They tried for a home rule charter that was rejected. That would have created a town manager position. And they had a very strong belief in professional government there. They just didn't want to go to a centralized manager position. Just the nature seems to be working for them, and that's what they did. There was concern about that at the time. Would they be able to attract candidates right after the idea of a manager was rejected? Wellesley has other attributes, though, that make it a very attractive place to be and work. So we were able to sell that. And the strengths of the town, the belief in professional government, and the importance that all managers have to collaborate. You can have all the authority possible in the charter, but you can't order people to do everything. You have to get people to buy in. And so we stress that's part of what is built into the Roslyn system. Similarly in Amherst, their town manager passed away very suddenly, very difficult situation for someone to walk into. And on top of that, they were in the midst of adopting a child, with the possibility being that they would move to a mayor. So whoever was going to be getting that job was looking at the possibility that 2 years out, they could lose their job. But again, it's sort of finding the silver lining around all that we used to make that a more attractive position. And there are other examples of that I can point to. That you take whatever you have and really build the strengths of that community up. And you're right, it's a sell. They need to sell themselves to you as being the one that you will pick. But first you have to sell them on the fact that this is where they want to be.
Right.
And Hamilton's a great town. It's got a great tradition up in the North Shore, and it's a very attractive place to live. Little things that I see as I come through, it's got a great little downtown area, it's got a train station. It's clearly has a lot of history. All these things make the town very attractive to someone to want to live and work. And that was just from a half-hour driving through town.
You nailed it.
There's a lot of attributes too, I would say. That the schools are rated very high by Mass Department of Ed. We have, we just put a $1.3 million pool that's very much attended. We have joint recreation, we have a huge summer rec department.
So it's a guy who goes, look, we need to get that listed.
Right, so
Right.
it's a matter of,
Yeah. We don't have a PR department, right?
Yeah.
You do, actually, that's right here.
so as it pertains to raising a family, if you were to drive down here on a Saturday and you go by Patton Park, which has a huge playscape in it, and you see all the kids on the playgrounds, and you see the soccer moms and dads, and all the different games on both sides of the street, you actually drive down this town and say, this is a great little town.
Right.
Financially, we're well off. Our budgets are good. We're financially strong. We have a good rating. There are department heads. We have good department heads, and I don't speak for myself. I speak for the other department heads I work for. They do a real good job with what we have. If I had to say we're short anywhere as it pertains to employment, it would be in HR. HR, because your town manager kind of wears two hats.
Right.
He or she is a quasi-HR person. But I can work with you on the attributes of the town to sell the town.
That's I want to hear that, and then I do want to hear the challenges, because that's the other part of it. Right? If someone were walking into a utopia, some people they're not happy walking into a utopia. They want to.
They need some kind of a little bit of challenge.
We let you watch the 6-hour town meeting we just had.
But sometimes you don't want to be quiet. Is that the total, 6 hours?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
It was a total.
In one
One day though, not 2 days. We don't break it up over 2 days. That's
So
a
you do it all in a
Saturday.
day. Well, that's
It's long for our town.
yeah.
That was a lot.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a night for some communities. So 1 out of 10.
All right, okay.
There are communities out there like that, but I left in my career. I was the town manager of Chelmsford for 20 years, and was very content and happy there, and very secure. And I decided to become the city manager of Lowell. So because I was looking for a challenge, so I found it. If there are challenges out there, that's what people they want to be in a stable place, but they want to have some things that they can sink their teeth into. A new facility that needs to be built, a restructuring of the organization, any number of different issues that they can tackle.
So what's the best kind of to get you that stuff? Is it, you think, like you said, should we all individually send you stuff and you can compile it, or do we need to talk as a group and sort of what would be better for you?
Probably better if we could get it into sort of, well, one thing is individually you can sort of all have your say in terms of, and then we can sort of compile that. But I think it's useful too as a group to talk about some of those things. But maybe we can do that.
Well, we've got another meeting on the 7th.
Okay.
So this coming Monday,
Yeah.
and so maybe we can put that on the agenda and kind of figure out some highlights and challenges to send to
So
you,
that would be great. That would be great.
and then that would kind of get us going down that road.
And then I can do some follow up individually.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay.
And then I'm just looking through here on number 4 here, preparation of position profile, creating brochure. And then kind of the last line of the board be asked to endorse or amend this profile. In the executive session, discuss side parameters of compensation, benefits package, etc. So I would assume you'll be there to help kind of guide us. We'll have our counsel and we'll talk about what's current and what do you think is comparable to what we're asking for people, I would assume.
Correct. We can do that.
But I'd like to try to make this try to get a lot of community involvement in this. When we do the community days, I'll make some calls. I'd like to get as much community there, as much people from the public at these meetings so they have a voice and to be heard. Is there any way best to get that information out, or do you find any practice better than others? Or, I mean, we do Facebook, we can push it out that way.
And we
can
do
push it out
Salem News, our local paper. I mean, is there much more that you can?
Yeah, we can do a press release that we can get you and send that out to put it up online on your webpage.
Maybe the water bill, we send out the water bill.
Yeah.
Where the water bill is going to be.
When does
I think there's one coming up soon.
yeah, I'll find out when it is. I don't recall offhand.
And we could maybe even do a red,
I could do that.
You could.
reverse 911, depending on one of the bigger meetings maybe that we want to let people know.
Community forum.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. You're done town meeting, right?
Town meeting just was over here.
Because that would be
That'd be a great place.
Time to announce that it was taking place. But
That is one of the complaints too, right here, right? I didn't know about it, so we gotta think hard about what we do to get it out there. But the signs out there,
Yeah, local cable. we
Local
can do
cable,
that.
which we're on right now. Thanks HWCAM.
We'll push it out. I just-
yeah,
It's more I want to create some sort of advertisement for the community forum.
right.
So we always have the certain people that come to every town meeting, every Board of Selectmen's meeting. I want to reach the people that you don't see all that often.
Right.
And I'd like to get them there as well.
Right. Yeah, and I would say that it would be, again, we've done this in almost every community that we've done searches in. And I think that the most I've ever had at one meeting is probably 25
Okay.
people.
I would say that's probably about
Right.
what we would expect, I think. I mean, we have a handful of key players that are always around, like Russ said, come to different meetings and stuff like that. I'm sure they'll be there. But it's like Russ said, it's the people that don't normally come is what we want to hear from as well.
Right. The other thing we can do, and we can work on this with you, is have you could set up an email address to have people send in comments.
Sure.
Some kind of like a Google Doc. kind of
Or
thing.
or if you prefer, I have an email address that you can put out there. And,
Send them right to
so they can come right to me.
Mhm.
Because there may be people that, for one reason or another, don't want to be known.
That's true.
And I have a Gmail address that I use for that purpose. That, we just advertise that. So we can talk about that.
Right.
Again, more people are involved in the process, they feel there's more of a sense of ownership. And then along those lines, and we can, again, there's plenty of time to talk about this, when you get to the point where you have the finalists, you could have some type of meet and greet, before the interviews, after the interviews,
Right.
for things along those lines. Facilitate those.
Right, and to the chief's point about the community involvement, I want to, like I see that, we're planning a roundtable with the department heads to get their input. And I'd like them to be involved as much as possible since they're going to be with the day-to-day with whoever we choose.
Right.
And really get their input and have them involved as much as possible. You recommend putting them on a steering committee?
That's something, I'm glad you asked that. That's something that I've been seeing a little bit more of. And it's actually worked pretty well to have someone. Again, in neighboring town of Ipswich, I had the police, actually had two there. The police chief and the finance director served. There was another community in Cove in Plimpton, the police chief was there. It is helpful to have that input, that perspective.
Now, do you just meet with the department heads, or do you, like for the employees, or do you meet with union presidents, do you meet with, I mean, what do you know, with just department heads? Do you drill down any deeper than that, Brian? You
It's
just
generally been department
Okay.
heads. You know, if you think it would be helpful for me to meet with, spend that day, spend 15, 20 minutes, half an hour with a group of union people, union presidents, or make myself available to them.
I think maybe if we made a larger group of employees, town employees, and then you met with a core group of department heads.
Okay, I was thinking almost the opposite.
Okay.
The department heads and make time available for the employees to come.
Yep.
Actually, I keep on bringing up different communities and the way they do things. But Boxborough, for instance, I met with some department heads, and then I met with a group of employees afterwards.
And I'm just thinking of the town hall employees. namely
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because we're a smaller town,
Right.
as you know.
Yeah.
So our pool of employees, we've got, 70 FTEs?
Mhm.
So very small group and very tight-knit group that does a lot well and beyond their job description.
Right.
So, we want to make sure that they're vested in the process so that they feel validated with whatever concern or what they're looking for. So,
Right.
and I think as long as we, like you're suggesting, involve them in some capacity as much as we can.
Yeah.
And whether you meet with the department heads and then you say, I'm going to be here for another hour, if anybody else wants to
Exactly.
come by,
Right.
you're welcome to come by.
And I'll probably, after I meet with the department heads, we'll probably be following up with them offline.
Yeah.
As a group, I'd like to meet with them, but then get in touch with a few of them individually.
Right.
Sort of like you're really getting your thoughts on the attributes of the aspect of the community that I should know about. I'll probably go and spend some time with one with a few other department heads.
That's easy enough to do, we can set that up. Allison, do you have any questions? Allison?
Oh, no, I can't, no,
Okay.
I don't have. I like I just really want anyone who's on the committee, we have so many, qualified people. I just hope that, I want some enthusiastic candidates, that can focus on change can be positive, not that makes any sense. I know it's hard to do that, but, that's all. Just looking for very open-minded people to do that can, work and go through the process.
That makes sense to me.
So what I did today, Sean, is I downloaded this proposal, I sent it to all the town employees, and I made sure they knew what was going on tonight, threw an invite for them, if they couldn't make it, they can watch it later after it gets posted, and they can read, they're more interested in what's the process, so, I mean, this really speaks, delineates the process down to a T. So I threw it out to all the employees today, and we also posted it online, so the townspeople can see it online as well. Trying to be very, not to overuse the word transparent, but trying to be very transparent and open as this process moves along.
Sure. The proposal signed with Community Paradigm, it's all executed.
Yes. Yeah, that's done.
Is the timeline online?
No, he took a picture of it,
No, the
This
timeline that's in your packet.
Timeline in the proposal.
Yeah, in the proposal itself is the
Right.
timeline, and that is online, and it
Okay.
quasi
Very
mirrors,
similar.
yeah, it quasi mirrors this right here. I took a picture and sent it to Allison, so she could see what we're looking at.
Technology's
Isn't
great.
it great? So do you think, since we're talking timeline here, is this a typical timeline, an aggressive timeline, or what's your, I mean, this isn't your first rodeo by far, so.
No. I tell you, they generally take about 16 weeks. That's I forget how many weeks do I have here?
16.
16. So, and they can shorten up a little bit, they can go a little bit. I've done them faster. In Norwood, I think we did it in 12 weeks. They had it in their heads, they might have trickled over to 13. But we did it faster. It can be done that way, but it really, the stars have to align. 13th. And by that, I mean, you know, you need to have that screening committee ready to meet. And as soon as those come in, you have to be able to pull all of the people together to get the information gathered, get the input from people. So it can be done, but I find 16.
Right.
And I'll tell you, we were talking about it actually on the way up today. I would challenge you to find another firm that can do it consistently in 16 weeks. I know that we were talking about a town on the way up today that we didn't do, but it's been 6 months.
Right, and I mean, I guess, I asked that because I had heard a few, I don't want to say horror stories, but it's been 6 months, a year, the position's still open.
Yeah.
You know, and I would assume some of these towns, like you said, there's 10 positions open around, that
Right.
some of them have been open for some time.
Right. And the other thing is, and I probably should be careful because sooner or later, I imagine it'll happen that there'll be a failed search where we have to
That was my
back
next
out.
question, yeah.
Never had to go back out. We feel, I've never said that publicly before. So now,
Here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, the only challenge is that, it's July, August, it's summer months, but, and that's lot's gonna have to happen in those months, but we'll figure it out. So.
yeah, and I mean, I think you're probably going to want to talk about, I think my understanding is you talk about interim management.
Mhm.
As long as you have some interim management in place, you can, but we're not going to, we don't do 6 months. My goal is to get in, get out.
Yeah.
I want to leave so that you'll miss me when I'm gone. After 6 months, you
Don't want to
won't
overstay.
be missing me.
I really don't think I personally have any more questions. How about you, Bill?
No, I'm satisfied and really, but answered every question very well, thoroughly, so.
No, good, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
No, I mean, I guess I really didn't have that many questions other than just the steering committee and timeline stuff because it's laid out so well for us. So it makes it nice and clear. And I think anybody that looks online or calls, it's going to be right there to look at. Sometimes I think in the past people say things are a little confusing with different stuff. I think the way you laid it out is very well.
Good. All right. And I'll work with the chief in setting up some of those times and we'll start blocking off some days. Probably you will want enough time to advertise the forum. In the meantime, we will grab whatever information we can find online on your website. I haven't spent a lot of time on your website, but I think there's quite a bit of information.
There's quite a bit there.
That we should be able to pull together to start that position profile. The bones are there, let's do that. And then we can start to, if you can advertise that and we can set up those meetings, we should be able to get this done pretty much on the timetable.
And we'll post
Looks
that
like 2 weeks
recruiting
out,
for
I
that.
think, probably
So
to.
we have a BOS meeting on the 7th and
And then
another
the
one on the
21st.
21st.
Okay.
So by what date do you want to have the names for the screening committee?
That, I don't need, it's great to meet, I was gonna say, it's great to meet the screening, it could be great to meet the screening committee at the same time that we're doing the community forum.
Yeah.
But if we need to, if you want to move forward with this community forum for the week of the 14th, I have a couple of issues in that week that we can talk about, start squeezing some time. But then we can maybe get in here on the 21st to meet with the board again and to go over what we have, to talk about some of those other issues. I should probably look at the schedule before I come back to that. But we could work.
I think that could work, because I'm thinking if we kind of basically post the opening or the formation of the committee for Monday's meeting, and then we kind of recruit actively until the 21st.
Okay, and then I can talk to them,
As
a little bit after that.
Most likely he would probably attend the forum anyway. At the
right,
select
if they're
prior to the
interested,
forum.
yeah.
But you probably won't have them selected prior to the forum because we're doing the forum the week of the 14th. I'm looking at maybe the 16th or 17th of that week. Would that give you enough time to advertise?
For a forum?
Yeah.
Usually 2 weeks, right?
Yeah,
Probably
probably.
do what we do. I guess we'll have to look at the Salem News and call Tim McCarthy, or the
Right.
Chronicle and stuff, and see what they're, I can't remember what day they come out.
Yeah, we checked with Tim McCarthy's a publisher of the Hamilton Wenham Chronicle, and they publish every 2 weeks, so we gotta make sure we're on the right cycle for that.
Yeah, because the following week gets a little bit more complicated for me. That'd be great.
Maybe we could post something whenever we do it, not in the newspaper, but post something at the COA, at the library.
Oh, yeah.
Even,
Town halls,
or something.
town hall, COA, library.
Town hall, easy, and library. You know, we can put them on the front door, you know, those buildings, then, that they can get the people that aren't necessarily electronically inclined. We can easily do it on Facebook, the website, and that stuff, but, I love it on the doors and COA in the library. The library is used a lot.
Yeah, maybe even the door of the rec center.
Yeah, the rec center.
And then we can also,
Yeah,
and then the Wicked Local, which is like the Chronicle online, you can post that at anytime.
Yeah. So what comes out every 2 weeks?
Hamilton Wenham.
Our local paper,
Okay.
Chronicle.
We can, Sharon, can we have a sort of a package press release so we can get it to you tomorrow?
Okay. Okay, that'd be great. So we just need to, do you want to wait till the BOS meeting on the 7th to narrow, to hit a date, or do you want to make the date now
For the forum,
for the forum?
let's make it now. I don't think it's necessarily contingent on our discussion about the kind of pluses, minuses of Hamilton and
Right.
the steering committee. So
Yeah.
what do you think, Bernie?
Either 16th or 17th. Would you tell me Wednesday or Thursday? What's a better day to meet with people? Oftentimes, it seems like Thursdays are.
Why don't I wait to see when the war room's open?
I was going to say, why don't you have Chief
Okay.
look and see if the room's open, basically, and
Okay.
whichever day it's open, we'll shoot for that day.
Okay.
All right, so I'll get a hold of you tomorrow.
Perfect. All right. You tell me, I have them both wide open right now, so I can just keep that.
Okay.
As I say, the following week gets tougher, and then the next week is the managers' spring conference, and that's a good place for me to be to recruit.
Do you think it would be an obstacle trying to get your selections committee together in 2 weeks? Do you see that as being an obstacle? I'm just trying to think if we can have your selections, I know not for Bernie's sake, but have them formed and pinned and attending this forum so they get a better understanding. Because there'll be people there at this meeting that they should hear what these people have to say. Because they're actually part of the voices for the townspeople to a certain extent.
What do you
2
think?
weeks is pretty aggressive, like to get the word out, interview them. Then
So we could do it after the 17th.
You're gonna be recording the meeting anyway, probably.
I'll set it up that we
Right,
can
we'll
get
set it up to record.
Yeah.
Somehow we can,
Somebody can say your search, you know, come to the, if you're interested, come to the meeting and sign up.
yeah,
Right.
So therefore, can you please get to the meeting,
Yeah,
get their
that's
name,
good.
so.
that's a good idea.
Right.
I mean, because there's a handful of people I'm going to reach out to see if they're interested in it.
Right.
But, I wouldn't be filling the whole committee. So I think if we do that, like you said, we kind of put it out there, come to the meeting if you're interested too, and then we can start getting some resumes and stuff. And then maybe on the 21st, if we've got
I
enough.
think it's more like 21st, that makes sense.
Okay. Before Bernie leaves, you want to talk about interim? That's
Yeah.
not on the agenda, only if you're done with this. I don't need to
No,
push it. I just don't want it to leave before we talk about interims.
No, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is
Self-serving, Bernie, that's why.
discussions about interim town managers.
So,
I've been working with Bernie, we've been making a lot of telephone calls. So I've come up with two names. I did a phone interview of Iris Singer. Iris Singer, and Bernie knows him much better than I do. Iris Singer was in the town of Middleton. He was there for plus 30 years. He retired about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. He was a town administrator, a strong town administrator. He's worked with, he was in the seat for a long time, very well versed. I spoke to him. We discussed some of the projects we have ongoing. We discussed, touched on a little bit of NGLs. Very, very knowledgeable NGLs and very knowledgeable about timelines and how to do this and how to do that. Knew a lot of the players. When you mention names, he knows the players. When you mention DEP, caps, landfill caps, he knows the business because he's been in it for so long. He is in Florida right now on vacation. He is willing to come back. However, if he comes back, he can only do it till August. Then he goes to Italy for, I think he said 2 weeks. So once he leaves in August, he can only stay till August. That was pretty much the hard line. The other thing too is if he comes back up, he would want to do 40 hours a week. So part of what we need to discuss too is whether you want a full-time employee or do you want a part-time employee. So that's part what you all as a board can discuss what you want. So his thing is if I come up, he wants to do 40 hours a week. So now let's move. I met with, yesterday, I met with and interviewed Jim Engel from Ipswich. He covered for Robin Crosby. Robin was the Ipswich town manager when she retired. He mothered the chip, if you will. I met with him. We had a lot of discussions. I called Town Hall in Ipswich. Everyone seems to be very happy with his work and what he did for the town in the interim. He served as a selectman 2 different terms over the years. Nice guy, very, again, knowledgeable, knows small towns. And I didn't hear anything bad or anything negative at all about what was happening in Ipswich when he was there. Now, in retrospect, Ira says 40 hours a week. Jim can only do roughly 20, 25 hours a week. He can do Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays he has commitments, and he can do Fridays. Now, he can do night meetings. He can do I said, well, the BOS meets every 2 weeks. You have to attend that. And there could be an occasional FinCom meeting that you have to attend, or another here or there meeting. The only issue too with that, and it didn't come to me when I was meeting with him, he's also, by de facto, he is on the Affordable Housing Trust. So he has to go to those meetings too. The TM for the town goes to those meetings as well as a select person. So I didn't talk about that with him. I don't know if that would be a big issue or not. I don't think that's something
And that's where it's
work with that.
kind of sporadic at times.
Right.
So.
So you have one gentleman that, now let me stick with Jim. Jim can do up to August. He may be able to do a little bit in August and beyond, but that's something that we would have to discuss with him because he is semi-retired and he was thinking August should be his downtime. So there could be a little bit of a issue with him staying much beyond August at that point. But it may be something we'll be able to work out with him. So you have someone that wants full-time, someone that can only do part-time. Ira's, no doubt, hands down, knows the job inside and out. But Jim did it in Ipswich for, how long was Jim there in Ipswich?
He started in February, I think, and I think Tony just started as a new manager over there last week or the week before. So he did February, March, I'd say. Probably 2 months. And Robin was there doing a good part of the search. She left. So, and Jim is, he's a, with Ira, she said he's with him. You get someone who has experience, skills in all aspects of the company. Jim is very knowledgeable. He's been a selectman. He was a good. Kept the ship afloat while after Robin left, and he's certainly knowledgeable about the issues. He's not a full municipal manager, but he knows his stuff. And I certainly enjoy working with him.
So there is a bit of a range too, as you look at monies. I think he discussed range 70 to 100.
Yeah, 75 to 100. themselves. So I think, I don't know what Jim was getting over in Ipswich. He was on the screening committee, by the way, which is interesting, because he was also in the seat for that period of time. But he was serving that role as the former selectman, who was coming in and providing some assistance. I think he was probably
It was $80.
$80.
And if Ira comes back, he wants to work 40 hours a week, and he'd be looking for $100 an hour. So you have, and we're putting forth two different names, two different backgrounds, two different criteria.
Right.
So it's kind of up to you guys what you want to do.
There were a couple other people. One, unfortunately, got scooped away to go to another interim. That's another growing business of interim managers. As people retire, as people move out, people go and fill these slots. So, and there's a couple others that I'm waiting to hear back from. But I think both Jim and Ira would be certainly good choices. It depends on which one, which direction you want to head. You're comfortable.
Chief, is it a full-time position interim-wise, like you?
So you could debate it a lot of different ways,
Yeah.
but honestly, we have a lot of moving parts right now. I mean, I can name 5 of them right now that we all know, between the water treatment facility, the solar contract, patent homestead. I mean, I can go on and on. We have a lot of moving parts. Patrick's very busy with the planning board. We've got Affordable Housing Trust. You could get away with doing it part-time. The person's going to be busy, but you could get away with it part-time. And I know he did it part-time in Ipswich, and I'm not saying we're any busier than Ipswich, Jeff. But but now I got to go to Bernie, because you filled in as per him.
I only
That's
did
been
Winchendon.
Winchendon,
I
I'm
only did
sorry.
one. I've only done one interim thing. It was just a frantic call from the Department of Revenue one time to go out to Winchendon to deal with some issues out there. They were in serious financial issues, and I did 20 hours a week. I, truth be told, that's what I went for. That's what I billed for. But I found, I was taking calls on all the days and night meetings occasionally. So it can be done. I think most communities, town of Shirley right now has someone that's there. He's there 2.5, 3 days a week. So it can be done less than full time, I think. But
Right, but then I guess there's the debate kind of that I'm thinking in my head is whether you want just the ship to stay on course, or do you want to move it forward and work on some of these projects that are open-ended at the moment that we're looking to finish.
right, and the other, and I always recommend a community do this. I know that I did it. I know some other interims have done this. When they leave, they provide you with a report. And they can say, okay, these are some things that I found that you should work on moving forward.
And
My particular situation is they were $3.5 million in the red. There was a lot of things to buy that they should work on. But there might be some ideas they have, that things that they've seen that you might want to take a look at.
I wonder if we should do some kind of a sit-rep of where we are with different things and what we need done basically before September, and see which some of those things that we can drop off and pick back up again,
Right.
or things that really need to happen, either before July 1 when our new fiscal year starts, or before September happens.
If you're willing to table certain things, push them to the back burner, and let those simmer for a while that do not need the attention of a TM, and focus on things that really need the TM to push forward, then you can do it with a part-time employee. But if you want all these projects to move forward and not just mothering them in place, then you're gonna get a full-time.
Allison, do you have any thoughts, if you can hear me?
Well, I don't know the gentleman from Ipswich. I do know Ira Singer, who has this bachelor's certification. And I honestly, having worked in the town hall, I really think it's doing injustice putting someone in there part-time, especially with all that we have going on. And even if we remove projects, I really think that it would be helpful to have someone in there, and necessary to have someone in there full-time right now.
pros and cons, and Allison brings up some valid points. If you tasked Ira to give you a report, like Bernie said, upon his departure, this is what I see from me being a town manager for 30 plus years, this is where I see that you need work in. If that's part of what his job responsibility is, to write a full report to the board, then you can do that too. There are pluses and minuses either way, there really are, you can argue it either way.
Any other thoughts over there, Jeff?
No, it's 3 months, so we have 3 months of his time.
Yeah, when would he be able to start?
He said that, well, when I spoke to him last week, so he said middle of May, thereabouts.
So 2.5 months.
I mean, I think that we have to make a decision if we want things to move, if we want things to move forward, then it would be silly to take them on full time and then not move things forward. So
Right.
I think that has to go hand in hand. Okay, these are the projects we want you to work on, not just interim, but make sure he's in that maybe part of the next discussion with him.
Right.
Hey, we're interested in you, but you need to help us move some of these projects. Like you said, we do have a lot going on. If we stack them up, and then also now our backlog is going to be tough in August, September.
Right. Right, it's getting him up, if whoever comes in, getting him up to speed on the projects we have,
And
to
backlog.
finish those up, and then backlog what we think can wait.
So the board could do a phone interview on the 7th if you wanted to do that. And Bernie, this is more your area than mine. We could do a board interview if you wanted to talk to Ira. If you want to speak to Jim, he can come up before the board on the 7th.
And I think we should talk to both.
I think we should talk to them. I mean, I think it's in our best interest, right, just to hear.
I think it's a great candidate, so nice job with that. That's
Yeah.
probably the local, people know him.
Yeah, I know both of them well.
So it's a good job on that. So I think between the two of them, I think we got a winner.
Right, and it seems like they both come highly recommended, and they both can do the job, but it's in what capacity
You
we
all
want to use it,
want the
right?
job.
Yeah, that kind of looks best for the town.
Allison, will you be able to go to the meeting on the 7th? Do I have to send someone to pick you up and wheel you in?
Yeah, I haven't left my bedroom in a week and a half, so I'm not mobile yet.
Okay.
But,
So is the 7th within
I
your...
can't put any weight for 6 weeks, and I can't walk for at least 14.
Okay, so you won't be at the meeting on the 7th, so we'll have to do a phone conference
I
with
won't
you.
be at the meeting, but you can dial me in, or if I'm making a lot of progress this weekend doing stairs, then maybe I'll let it wheel me over.
Okay. I can get you a wheelchair, we have them at the PD, I can get Sid one for you.
We get
I
that.
have a really cute walker and a really nice knee stroller.
Yeah, he's
The
strolling.
knee stroll.
Very good.
All right, I mean, I think,
Um,
go ahead, Allison, were you saying something else?
No, I think it really is, I think they both great candidates. It's more for the board to decide if they want full-time or part-time. I think that's the bigger question in the room.
Right,
In the interim, what I'll try to do is put together a list of ongoing projects that we have and email them out to the board members so you all get to see, you all know about them, but
Right,
maybe you don't know how far along we are. So I'll try to put something together and send it out to you guys.
yeah, I think that would be
I
good.
have something in Excel, Russ.
Okay.
That, you briefly rough, but it's a list
Okay,
of, of stuff.
okay, that'd be great.
A lot.
Yeah, and also, Chief, we'll get you access into, we had a Trello thing going for Michael that was open projects and progress on them. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have access to his folders. I had that set up to Randy. I'll go through his folders and see if I can
Yeah,
find it.
if you can't find it, let me know and I'll get you the link into it. And
Okay.
it's got basically a lot of our
It's a
open
cloud-based,
projects. It's a cloud-based.
just probably a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll throw that out to the board, and then that'll give you an idea of where you're at with projects in the town.
Right.
On the 7th, I have Tim Olson scheduled to come in. the DPW, so he has your water projects, where he's at with that. Right from the gazebo all the way up to water, so he'll be able to brief the board up on where we are at amongst those projects as well. He has a lot of the projects. Patrick Redford was planning, he's got a lot of the other ones still.
I'd say those are the two fellows that are the bulk of
Right.
what's going on.
Patrick should be there on the 7th too, I think that'd be helpful.
There's a couple other possible interim candidates. If they come through, you want to send them on to the chief?
Yeah, I mean, why not? The more the merrier. If we can see a range of stuff, and if we get another option, it's worth taking a look.
Maybe sort of a look around.
Anything else? I think that's it. We've got a lot to do. Like I say, all that's left to do is
Thank you,
everything.
everyone.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you all the help.
All right, have a good night, thanks.
You too, bye-bye.
Okay. So I'll talk to you in the morning.
Yes.
All right?
Thank you, Bernie, very much.
Thank you.
Anybody want to make a
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Alice.